Hello everybody, this is the Silent Hill 2 mask tutorial. I know a lot of you have commented on my videos, and thank you. I appreciate all your wonderful comments. I know a lot of you have been looking for a tutorial for this. I spent quite a bit of time just nitpick painting on it, but here it is. I will try and explain this to the best of my ability. I will post, I'll try and have a picture up of all the items you'll need. When you start out making this, lay out some newspaper, because you're going to be making a mess. And after you lay out all of the newspaper, cut up all of your strips, cut them all to, just real thin strips. I did about like this. You can make them whatever length you want, preferably longer, at least for when you're first applying everything and you're putting everything on. Like, these are all really, really long, as you can tell. Some of them are actually really, really short. You can make them whatever length you need, but cut it all up beforehand, otherwise it's just going to be a bitch and a half to even put together later, because you're just going to be, your hands are going to be so wet, and you don't want to get the whole roll of plaster strips wet. So cut up everything beforehand. Make sure you have towels, buckets of water for your plaster strips. Make sure you have another bucket of water for yourself if you need to wash your hands off or anything. You're also going to want to have somebody help apply this. I didn't apply this to my face on my own. My mom actually applied the base layer to my face. What you're going to want to do is, this sounds super ridiculous, but just grab any plastic bag. I used whatever, I think this is a Walmart one. Yeah. Just put that over your head, and make sure you've got holes to breathe. You don't want to be, hurting yourself. Just make sure you have holes for your eyes, nose, mouth. That's pretty much it. Make sure it's kind of snug around your face. You don't want it to kill you, but make sure you've got it tight enough around your face. You don't want any bubbles. You want the mask to be tight around your face. This is completely tight to my face. I have very little room inside to move my mouth or whatever. I mean, that was partly my fault for that, but that issue aside, have someone else apply it to your face. Go back past your ears. As you can see, this actually goes back pretty far. You could probably go back a little farther than that. I wouldn't recommend it. I went back this goes back just behind my ear on both sides. That's exactly how it is. It covers up my ears. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to take this off. Most masks I've seen, it's just gauze wrap around your face, and I don't think that's very comfortable. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is completely comfortable all day, but I can at least take this off and put it back on whenever I feel like it. I don't have to worry about, oh, I can't eat because I've got gauze wrap all over my face, or I'm going to ruin my mask. I can just take it off, have a normal conversation. It's really useful. Yeah, after you're done applying all the strips, let it stiffen. Don't let this just, don't let it get rock hard for right away. Let it just kind of have a little bit of flexibility. Pull it off your face, and then what you'll want to do is, after you pull it off your face, what I did was, you can take a garbage bag or another plastic bag, put in newspaper or a towel or something to help kind of keep the structure of your mask, and then just flip your mask over, and it should hold. You can now apply all the plaster strips, apply them whatever direction you want. When you're applying the plaster strips, do the following, because I know some people were asking me how to do this. When you're applying the strip, if this up here would be the strip, this top part here above my hand, when you're applying the strip, fold over one side, the longest edge of your strip, and then go to placing this on the mask somewhere. It's going to give the look of depth, and your mask won't be that thick or that heavy. Just make sure when you've made the base layer that it is thick enough, it's not super thin. I did make mine kind of too thin here along the edge back here, but for the most part, just make sure you have it thick enough so you're not you're not going to, you know, compromise the structure later on down the road, and you don't have to worry about anything breaking. But when you're applying these, just fold the longest edge here, and then just let the top part of it just smooth it out, and you can leave some of the texture. I'm not sure if this is really that easy to see on here because the camera's blurring it maybe, but I still have a lot of the texture of the plaster strips on here. You can still leave that there. It's not going to affect anything other than, you know, you'll see the texture. I kind of liked that. It gave it a little bit more of that, you know, gauze appearance. You can kind of see it up here. You know, I definitely left a lot of that alone because I wanted to give that look of, you know, it's old or it's moldy, and I still wanted to give the look of having this linen or whatever, you know, the gauze kind of to come through. That's just what I did. You can do whatever you want. The very base layer was all smoothed out. That didn't matter, but when it came to putting these layers on, I really just left a lot of that texture there. And then, as you can, I've had a lot of people ask me how the heck I can see, or, you know, where my eye holes are. I'm pretty sure you can see them now. They are right here and right here are my eyes. And my nose hole is actually in there. And my mouth hole, if it serves me correctly, is like down here. I have them hidden because that was kind of what I was going for. Was I wanted, you know, I didn't want everybody to be like, oh look, I can see right where her eyes are. I wanted to kind of give you the where is she looking, you know, giving that disturbing factor to it. Honestly, you know, you can see it here, how I folded under the edge. You can leave some of them poking out, leave some of it, you know, kind of bulging and not sitting right, because in my opinion, it looks better when you give it the look like right here. I've got it kind of sticking out. When you fold these pieces under, you know, you can build up a couple layers of just folding them under, that's fine. But then when you're coming to your final layers, leave some of them, you know, when they're starting to stiffen, kind of push them down and really, you know, like right here I push down, you know, pull them up or pull them back like I did here with the nose, and, you know, give it kind of a, you know, gross, like falling apart, you know, not completely adhering kind of appearance. It gives it, like, things like this, you know, you can kind of just push things up or move them around or pull them out like I did here. Just give it the look that you want. I'm just giving tips as far as what I've done with this. The hat, I'll post the website of the person I was following. Again, like, even though I'm following somebody else with a lot of this stuff, you can do, mine looks completely different than hers. My mask is completely different. But again, do what you want. It's completely up to you. As far as painting goes, because you'll hit that point, I'm sure. After you've put everything together, all of this is on your set, you're ready to paint. It should be completely white, and, you know, you're good to go. These are the paints I used. I took like 4+ years of art class, different ceramics classes, so, I mean, especially my art classes. I had all these paints just lying around. But I used like a burnt sienna, raw sienna, a blue, green. This is more like a hunter's green, light brown, or I think this is even raw sienna, whatever, red, and a yellow. To get the kind of grody blood color look, because this really is not a bright red, my camera's probably making it look like such, use red, a light brown, whoops, and a green, and a blue. It sounds like a lot of colors, and I'm sure most of you are like, well, red and, you know, blue and green will kind of make a gross color. Add a little of the brown just to kind of, you know, you can play around with it. It really, in all fairness, you could probably get away with just using these three as far as the gross blood color looks, because you don't want it bright red. I think it looks god-awful with just bright red, and that's just my opinion. I hate seeing fresh blood. Silent Hill nurses should not have fresh blood anywhere. You shouldn't be looking like you just walked out of the ER. Just my opinion. I hate to ramble, but it's true. And yellow you can use wherever. Got the black over here. Yellow you can use wherever. I mean, I didn't use too much of that. For the first layer of paint, though, You can mix these up and set them aside for your blood. That's totally up to you. For the base layer, use a very, very thin, and by thin, I mean just use a little drop of this paint and add a lot of water to it. A great tip my art teachers always told me was you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So always start with thin layers of paint, slowly adding up. You can kind of see that I do still have some of that light brown coming through. But add in, when you're doing the light brown, add it in slowly. Don't add too much of it. This is all like blacks and browns. I decided to do a lot of blacks and browns right at the creases, right where all the folding would be, to kind of give that look of, you know, molds building or it's dirty, especially up in here. I did the blood kind of looking like it was coming from the eyes or somewhere near it, like, you know, like a face, like a head trauma or something. You can do whatever you want. You could have done it up here, you could have done it wherever. But again, I did some dripping. I got it really, really watered down, and I actually just held the mask and then just held the brush up to it and let it drip down wherever it wanted. I didn't do, these were not direct brush strokes. I just let it drip wherever to give that effect of, you know, something happened. I wanted to make this part actually kind of look like a skull. Not the best part, but just really darkened it, really made it bloody. And really didn't, I tried to make it, you know, less contrasting from here so you could really see, you know, or I tried to contrast it more because I didn't want it to look the same as this part here, which you can tell has a lot more of that texturing. I actually smoothed this out more to give it the look of more of like, you know, it's a skull. So just little things I added. But that's the painting aside. A lot of this was just, I did this over maybe the course of a couple weeks. I would just kind of go back to it. I'd step away from it. And then I'd come back to it and putz with it. Now, as far as holding it on your head, again, this is what I did. Everybody can do it differently. On the inside of the mask here, I put, like on the very edge of it, like right about where your ears would be, from where the mask was going back to like right behind your ears. I had this elastic strip here. I hot glued it, or well, actually I super glued it. Super glue worked well. Just be careful when you're using it so you don't super glue your finger to the mask, because that would be problematic. And then I super glued this side as well, and I used hook and eyes. I know it's not the best right now because it does tend to kind of come apart. I folded down an edge here, and I just put 2 hooks on here, or 2 eyes here, and then I put 2 hooks way down at the base here, really close. I know I've got a lot flapping around here, but that's in case I need to move any of these or change them at any point in time. But I put 2 hooks here, so when I'm wearing this, this will actually stretch and pull and be perfectly snug to my head. I can shake my head, twist, do all the jolting, and it's not coming off. It's held on tightly. I've worn this 2 conventions almost. I think I've worn it 2 days in a row. I think both times 2 or 3 days in a row, and it's held up the entire time. I've worn it for 10+ hour days, and it's worked wonderfully. I know a lot of people, you know, say that they're not, you know, maybe artistically talented enough, or maybe they can't make something like this, but this is really, it's super easy. I mean, you can do whatever you want to it. I was just surprised with how well this turned out. I really did not anticipate this turning out as well as it did. I've gotten such great reception with it. I mean, it's wonderful, but even this mask has its own flaws. Like, I don't really like how thin it is here. When you're applying strips, make sure to put some on the edge so you don't do what I did here. Around the edge it's very fragile. It's pretty thick here where I put the elastic, but up here it was a little too thin for me, and down here, so it is kind of breaking. When you're done with everything, when you've completely you're done painting it, take a matte spray paint and just spray the heck out of it, and that way you don't want to make it shiny, so make sure you don't get shiny. Make sure you get a matte spray paint. Make sure you get everything, inside included. Make sure you spray the inside, otherwise you're going to be inhaling plaster chunks, and that's not good. So, as you can tell, this is probably from my makeup that I've been wearing. But, you know, the inside is, pull this out so you guys can see the inside here. But this is basically what I can see. Those holes, those top two are my eyes. The bottom one on the right, or the middle one there, is my nose hole, and then the bottom left is my mouth. But yeah, that's the complete inside of the mask. So yeah, just take your time with it and really make sure make sure everything's solid. You know, just really take your time with, especially the paint. That's the one thing that I see a lot of people not paying attention to. Really make it look gross. Make it look like, you know, you've been, you know, dead, maybe walking around for a bit. It's just one of those pet peeves I have when I see Sound Home Nurse masks. I've seen a lot that are just gauze, so this was really a nice little tutorial that I actually found online, so I will post that in my description, and good luck, you guys.